What is up, guys? John Killingsworth here, coming at you with a new video that I haven't done in months. Last video I made, last live stream I made was about 2 to 4 months ago, and my actual self-help video, last one was maybe 5 months ago, you know, with the whole lighting and the whole everything. And the reason why is because I've been going through burnout, and as of this recording today, we are the 27th of July 2021. And this series, which I'm probably going to publish, might do a follow-up video maybe in a few weeks, just document how I'm doing. The goal of this series, which may be more personal, more face-to-face, you could say, even with a mask, is to document my process of recovering through burnout, my process of what I've been doing and the things I've experienced, what led to my burnout. And you know, if you've ever experienced burnout in your life, or if you're going through burnout, which is maybe how you came across this video, this will be incredibly beneficial for you, I hope, because at least you won't feel alone in your misery or in your pain. And for those who haven't suffered burnout but are feeling like they might be on the verge, that might be something that will also benefit you, because then you'll know what to prevent. You'll know sort of the warning signs, which I'm going to explain what I went through. And yeah, it's just the whole process is incredibly important to be aware of. And you know, if you are not suffering through any of these things, then it'll just be a great story, and you get to know me a bit better, or see what's been going on with me. So how that began, yeah, first of all, this video is not going to be, there's not much structure to it. It's going to be sort of me explaining my story. There's not much, the content in itself might be, the tips and all that might be dispersed midway through, but for now, there's not much of a goal other than to document what's been happening. So yeah, how did my burnout begin? Let's start with that. It's hard to put a date on sort of your burnout. It's not like, let's say you're an alcoholic and then you're like, okay, 82 days sober, no alcohol. Like, you can't say 82 days recovering from burnout, because how burnout occurs is that it happens incredibly gradually, and some people, it takes them up to a year or so. So sorry, I had to stop the video for a bit, so I'm not sure where I was. Yeah, so how did my burnout begin? I would say that the more severe symptoms started about 3 to 4 months ago, which is around the time when I stopped making videos. So around February or so, this is when was that 4 months? That's 5 months. February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, it's about 5 months. So this is when the symptoms start becoming more intense, you would say. And how they occurred is that they pretty much happened very gradually. So maybe you could go back all the way back to about a year ago, when I started getting some success with my consultations and the clients I was getting in my life coaching business. I started getting clients, and at a certain point, I think when the symptoms began gradually is when I was no longer getting as many clients, and I had to push through and make more effort to have the clients at the beginning, just because, all of my subscribers probably knew about the consultations at this point. So at the beginning, since the life coaching was new, then, everyone wanted to jump in and, get a consultation with me. But as time went on, it was harder to get new clients, because all my viewers already knew about the consultation. So then I had to reach out, and I thought about reaching out to other audiences and all that. And this whole process of having to acquire clients and all that, I was getting more and more stressful. And I was at a certain point where I had achieved certain of my goals in my business, but I didn't feel like I achieved all that I wanted. I wanted to reach a point where I could quit my part-time job and all that. I wanted to reach a point where I was making more money in my business than in my job, which was the case for a short amount of time, but then it wasn't consistent. And the lack of consistency and the amount of output, the effort I had to put in, the amount of input, I had to put in, all the effort didn't match the output, or it didn't match the result I was getting from my actions. So I would go on, I'd have like dozens of free consultations, basically doing work for free, right? Free consultation is like free work. I'm not basically, I'm not getting paid for these. So then I do all these consultations for free. And while I love helping you guys, I love seeing the change, even in just in those free 1 hour consultations, it burned me out because I wasn't getting paid in return, or if I was getting paid, it was one of the few who wanted to go on in the program, which is, but these calls were just not enough. And I started reaching a point where I started resenting making these calls, and I thought like, another call. I don't want to do it, but I need to make the money. And then it was just sort of this toxic. It started becoming sort of this toxic obsession with making money. And I don't know, maybe probably maybe one of you or might have felt that I didn't want to be on the call, and you probably sensed that, right? As a follower of my content, if you talk to me and then it sounds like I don't want to talk to you, of course it's gonna be kind of it's gonna suck. And I knew like I reached a point of too much when I started like sleeping through calls. Like I had a call at 9 a.m. and I slept through the call and had to explain I had to email like a huge apology. I'm incredibly sorry. I didn't make it to the call. Something happened, which is pretty much my mental health happened. My mental health happened, and I couldn't show up to the call. I didn't say it like that, but so literally this is when I reached a point of too much, and then I had to stop all the calls. So this is when I think around February, March, not even earlier, maybe January, I stopped doing any calls. So I just removed all the consultations, and then I started I thought, hey, maybe I can continue making some videos without the consultations, which I did for a short amount of time, and then I had to stop that as well because even the videos, I felt like I was burning out as well. When you've been doing weekly videos for 4 to 5 to 6 years, it's been many years since I've been doing videos, consistently self-help videos, at least 3 to 4 to 5 years at least. And when you've spoken about every single self-help content or idea that you can think about, and basically you've exhausted all these self-help content, it's like you don't know what else to talk about. And I had a few comments on my YouTube channel that they said like, you're saying it seems like you're repeating a lot of the old stuff in your videos, which is fine, but it seems a bit repetitive. And I agreed, and I really took this feedback to heart, and thank you for that feedback. It made me realize, I need some change. And then when I realized I needed some change is also the time I had to stop, because during that sort of period and break, I realized something had to change about Nameless or my channel. There's something I needed to do that had to be different. And often I feel if you're burning out, let's say as a content creator or whatever it is, you burnt out because you were doing something that was going in the wrong direction. You were doing certain actions that were not aligned with your values. For example, me, it was constantly doing calls, and then having to learn how to sell. And I don't like doing sales. I hate sales. I want to help people. I don't want to sell. I have to sell myself and all that. And obsessing over money, over analytics. How much money am I making? Like all of these things led me astray. And when you focus on the wrong actions for long enough time, that will catch up on you, and then your body will shut down. All of a sudden, you'll have no motivation, no energy. And, even if you have your life purpose, I had my life purpose, and, even if you do what you love, if you do it in the wrong way, if you do it for the wrong reasons, the thing that you once loved maybe you won't even love it as much anymore, and that becomes kind of sad and tragic. So for a short amount of time, I thought like I had some of these thoughts like, what's going on with Nameless? Why do I not enjoy Nameless anymore? That's my passion. It's my calling. That's what I've been dreaming of doing, my whole life, is this content creation, being on YouTube. And it was going back to that root cause of what's caused the burnout, is doing the things that you love. You do them but for the wrong reasons, or you just do too much of it, because you can burn out. Even if I did 100% what I loved, I'm sure if I did that 16 hours a day, I'd probably burn out, even if I love it. And don't listen to all these entrepreneurs and self-help gurus that say like, yo, never take a break, sleep is for the weak. That's just them flexing and trying to look cool and superior. And that's incredibly unhealthy. Some of you might be familiar with that if you follow actualize.org, but that's like stage orange of spiral dynamics thinking, where you're very sort of materialistically driven. And I guess I got carried away in that mentality. I got carried away with the sort of materialistic goals. And so what happened after that is I decided to take a medical leave from my part-time job, because I realized, stopping Nameless wasn't enough. I also work at as a sort of financial advisor / collections agent at a bank, right, at my job. And I also do calls. So I was doing calls with Nameless, and I was doing calls also with customers, my job, and it was too much. Even it was just part-time, it was too much. I had to stop completely. So I called up my doctor and I said, hey, I need a medical leave. I need to really take a break from all this, so I can sort of recharge and take care of myself. And she said okay. And it's been currently about a month since I've been on leave. I asked for a leave about early June, and I tried to sustain, like, think about it, like since February I was already seeing signs of burnout. I tried to sustain my part-time job still a few more months. But I probably should have called it quits around February. I should have called the doctor then, because it wasn't sustainable. I was starting to call in sick more at the job, and it was just not a good thing. And so then I spoke to my doctor, and they said, okay, medical leave. And interesting things happened since then. I've been, while I disconnected from all my job and my business, at first I started sleeping a lot. I'd take a lot of naps, and I had no motivation to do much of anything. So of course I'd indulge in, let's say, video games. I remember around February, this is when I bought the game Escape from Tarkov, the Edge of Darkness edition. It's like the best edition of the game, where you have like all the best gear and whatever. And I spent about, like, I don't know, a few hundred hours the last few months playing this game. And I also got back into old school RuneScape now, and I got I reached my goal of getting level 99 in strength, in magic, and in range. It was like sort of my childhood sort of dream, get 99 in something, and I got it. Why? Because I was recovering from burnout and just enjoying myself while I was on leave. So I did that, and then so that was around February all the way to now, and then at a certain point when I was sort of having fun, going out with friends maybe once a week, or playing video games, I realized that it was not fulfilling. It's fun, and to when you've been working so hard and focused so much on your business and your vision, your passion, that's kind of burnout. It was refreshing to do something else. But of course, that's not all there is to life. I can't just play video games and do nothing with my life. That would be a waste of life. And then this is when came the point where I realized maybe there was something more. I had to go back to my business, because you can't just medicate yourself forever, right? And I felt, when I felt this inspiration to come back to my business, come back to doing those videos, which seems more genuine now than a few months ago. Now I feel like, okay, I'm probably starting to get the handle of this burnout. Maybe I'm starting to cure it, right? So yes, it took a few months of realization and try to calm down and healing. But I think when you, in your burnout journey, when you're recovering, you will have this sort of almost dark night of the soul or spiritual crisis of like, oh my God, like everything that I was doing is meaningless, or it's not what I no longer find joy in what I used to like, whatever. There's sort of existential crisis about your work, maybe that might happen. And then slowly but surely, then the motivation, the spark should come back. If you have your life purpose, right? If you found like the purpose that you want in your life. If you don't have it, I'm going to put a link to my life purpose ebook, free ebook that you can get, that could help you out with that. And once you have that, it's like it should come back again. And I remember I spoke to during my leave, I spoke to a counselor. She was a I don't know how you call it in English, an orientation counselor, career counselor, sort of. And she was very helpful. She was basically a life coach, but with like a title, like more official title. And she helped me sort of like, she did coaching exactly the way I would coach a client. So it was hilarious. Like I was speaking to her, and the way she spoke back to me was like exactly how I'd speak to a client to help them find their purpose or find, what's helpful to them. So she helped me sort of deconstruct and look at, oh yeah, so you have this business where you wear a mask, you make videos online. Well, what do you like about that? And I'm like, oh, it's like helping people. And she sort of helped me get back in touch, and she basically pointed out, and I kind of already knew this, but she confirmed that that it's probably a better idea that the goal, if I come back to my business, is to come back with the intention of enjoying, loving what I do, not with the intention of making money. And the money will come if I enjoy what I do, right? And if I really enjoy what I do, I put all my effort into what I do, like the money will come. And then I realized that was maybe a few weeks ago. I realized when I go back to my business, instead of focusing 80% of my effort on money and 20% on the things I enjoy, I need to flip this around and focus 80% on what I love and only 20% on making money, like the business processes, setting up my email marketing, whatever, automation, or setting up calls. All of that is 20%. And then I had this realization that I had it flipped, and so that's sort of something that really helped. And about my part-time job as a financial advisor / collections agent is to help. I have to focus on how my job, yes, it's a fucking call center job. It's not the most glorious job of all time, but on my job, I have to focus on the people I help, on the people I can financially get out of misery, and like all the smiles on their faces that I probably, when I help them to get out of debts and they thank me, I have to remember these events. Or even just, for example, I have this customer that was very difficult his situation was pretty much unsolvable. Like there wasn't much we could do as a financial institution, and this client basically had to call bankruptcy. There wasn't much he could do, right? And then I told him, yeah, so it doesn't seem like we can do much as a financial institution. It's probably I don't remember what I told him, but basically all I said were some reassuring words, right? I told him like, listen, we'll hold you by the hand, and no matter what happens, don't forget that to take responsibility, and that Everything will be fine in the end. And I don't remember what I said. I said something very clever to that client who was basically on the verge of bankruptcy, and I basically offered him no help, but I offered him 100% support, and he said like it was the most helpful thing ever just to talk to me. And it's crazy how you can help people who are feeling hopeless just by listening to them. And I realized that yes, even in my part-time job, there are some very fulfilling moments, and even though they are probably more rare than in my business, right? That's why I want to quit that job eventually, right? But there are some positive things even about my job. And that's a great thing. And then, yeah, so that's kind of sort of my, how my recovery have been, is that first focusing only on the negatives, focusing only on the things that are not good, or like sort of hopelessness and spiraling down, telling yourself, oh, maybe I'll never recover, or the ups and downs. And then now starting to have those realizations about my job, about my business, which really helped to sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel. And also speaking to some specialists or some medical, people in the mental health profession and all that. You've seen my videos how I rant about psychologists, but there are really good psychologists out there. Unfortunately, they can be rare, but they are some very good doctors or psychologists out there. Unfortunately, my family doctor is terrible. The family doctor who basically put me on medical leave, she's absolutely terrible. And if you need to recover from burnout or any sort of mental health or sort of ailment, sometimes some of these doctors or mental health professionals, they can actually make your life worse. It's been the case in my scenario, where my doctor, she has a very big ego, and she has this sort of need to set her agenda, or the agenda of the medical profession, whatever. And she's not willing to listen to me. She's not willing to listen to my needs and my input. And it's only been about 3 to 4 weeks on my medical leave. So it was only 3 to 4 weeks of proper rest of about accumulated 1 year of burnout, I'd say. At least 1 year, because, I said I started my consulting, coaching, like a year and a half ago. So all of that combined, and it's sort of like 1 year cumulative burnout, try to heal that in 3 to 4 weeks. And now she wants me to come back gradually, which is very quick. I would say to me, it felt way too quick. And I spoke to my psychologist, and he said, yes, it will be much better, I think, if we just wait a few more sessions, that you have the right tools and tips to prevent burnout in the future before you go back. And I tried to explain that to my doctor. I understand you want me to come back, but I have to speak to my psychologist first. And I need to have his green light from him as well, not just you, before we go back. And then my doctor said, basically she just tried to convince him, hey, listen, I understand, but what's so stressful about going back to work? Tell me. Like, just 1 hour per week, can't you do that? And she insisted. I said, hey, listen, I don't feel right. It just doesn't feel right to me right now, and I don't feel like I'm properly rested. And then she insisted nonstop, and basically there was no way she was going to listen to me. She wanted me to come back no matter what. She gave me some arguments like, oh, if you stay for too long, it's going to be harder to come back. You're going to lose your confidence, as if like confidence you could lose with time. Like, I don't know where you get that concept from. Did you read that in your medical book, that if you don't do a thing that you lose confidence, right? I haven't ridden a bike in like 2 years. I haven't lost my confidence to ride a bike. It makes no sense anyway. So I tried to explain to her, hey, listen, I'm not ready. And she kept insisting, to the point where I break down in tears and I tell her that I can't go to work. I'm not ready. That was about a week ago. So I break down in tears. I tell her, like I keep telling you, I'm not fucking ready, and I don't know how else to explain it to you. I've said it nicely so many times. What you don't understand? And I told her like I'm not ready, and then that was the sort of the turning point where she said, "Okay, I'll speak to your psychologist and we'll make a plan." So it took me all the way until I break down in tears for her to understand that I wasn't ready, that I wasn't feeling right. Right? How fucked up is that? Like a doctor trying to impose their agenda on their client without their willingness. And even after I cried, it even felt like she didn't understand, even after sort of my mental breakdown. And that's kind of traumatizing, and it's kind of messed up. Like the person that you're supposed to look up to, right? Doctors, you're supposed to look up to doctors in society. That's a doctor. That's a doctor right there. And yeah, and I remember she tried to prescribe me antidepressants, Prozac, basically fluoxetine, the right medical term for it. And she tried to prescribe me that, and I said, you know what? Okay, I might try it out, because I had sort of, according to her, I was going through sort of a mild, major depressive episode, she says. I don't know if that's true, because I feel much better now. And it only took about 3 weeks since that, since that time. So I feel much better now, but she said that, and then she said, oh yeah, well, let me prescribe you some fluoxetine. You're going to take it for 3 to 4 weeks before you see results. So she wanted to really put me on a long-term plan for antidepressants for a burnout, which I don't think I've ever exhibited symptoms of depression really, like, before. I don't know. So for me, it seemed unreasonable, but I still took the medication for 1 day. I felt terrible, nauseous, and I felt even more depressed, like, after I took it. Like, I felt terrible. And I told her, hey, I'm not taking this. And she said, okay, you're not taking medication, okay, whatever. And then 2 weeks later we speak, which was basically last week, and I tell her, yeah, so I'm feeling better. And she's like, oh, I guess you didn't need the Prozac fluoxetine. Yeah, she fucked up. It's like she fucked up in her, I guess, her diagnosis. But I don't blame her, because you can never say that to a doctor, but it's like being a doctor or diagnosing someone, it's almost kind of an art almost. It's like you trying to give something to someone, you're not even sure if it's gonna work, but according to the papers it might possibly work, right? Like antidepressants maybe have like I don't know what's their success rate, but maybe like 40 to 50% to maybe have a chance of feeling 40% better, something like that. And 40% is like the same as like a placebo. You can take a placebo and feel 40% better just from the placebo. So what does that say about antidepressants? They're kind of shit, right? I don't know. I think for most people they're kind of shit. For a minority of people, I think they can work, but it really, for depression specifically or depressive symptoms, I think they're kind of shit. If you have like something else like bipolar, of course, that's a different story. We're not talking about that. That probably is more helpful. But anyway, so yeah, point being is, you're trying to recover, and then every 2 weeks your doctor harasses you about going back to work. You can imagine how stressful that can be. It's like being on medical leave was just as stressful, if not more stressful, than working on my job and Nameless at the same time, because of dealing with this sort of toxic, maybe narcissistic doctor. I don't know. I haven't taken the time to analyze her, but with sort of like this imposing toxic doctor I need to deal with, plus me trying to recover while I'm dealing with that toxicity. It's terrible. Like, imagine a doctor who's basically has done nothing to help you other than sign the paper to say that you're allowed to not be at your job, and every advice she tells you makes everything worse. Everything she prescribes you is worse. It's terrible, man. And my advice is, if you ever have to go through something like that, like a mental health problem, find the right psychologist, find the right people to help you. And if the doctor sucks, then don't find a new doctor, find a new professional. Some professionals will maybe make it worse. Like some of them just suck and they're terrible. But I'm really grateful that I found a great psychologist who, in the past helped me with panic attacks and feelings of depersonalization, which I've struggled with about a year or two before, that I'm now pretty much over, which is great. He's really helped me in that scenario, and I'm really grateful that I found this professional. But you might not find them, so you have to keep looking. And it's crazy. Even people of authority, even people who are in the medical profession, they can still be toxic. They can be terrible. And I've met another doctor that was like that. It was like this fat overweight doctor. I came into his office, because I had questions about my panic attacks. I need some help, so I went to this doctor at a walk-in clinic, and he said, "Oh, so what's your diet like?" I said, "Oh, I do intermittent fasting. Been doing ketogenic diet for the last 2 years." He's like, "Why?" He tells me, he looks at me like that. He's like, "Why?" Oh, like he was mad that I was doing the diet. Like, what? Okay. And I said, "Oh, because I feel fantastic and it's wonderful." Me, who's like this slim guy who has who works out. I wouldn't say I'm like a toothpick. I work out and I'm a relatively healthy person. And he says, "I don't think that's good for you." Like this fat, overweight doctor who, in his mid-40s and try to tell me what to eat. It's, yes, I understand it could be maybe I'm just doing a ad hominem on him, like a two-quote fallacy. You can't tell me advice on health because you're fat. It's not as simple as that, but sometimes I feel like certain professionals or certain people in general are very set in their ways, right? Stage blue, spiral dynamics, listen to authority, never say no to authority, do everything in the book, what the medical book tells you, and that can lead you astray. I feel like, so sometimes to cure some of these mental illnesses or sort of ailments is because the mind is so complex. Psychology only succeed at capturing maybe 0.1% of it. And really, we don't know how the brain works. We have no clue. Yes, okay, we know there are certain neurotransmitters and all that, and we kind of understand the interaction. But, it's not because we understand life that we know how life came from, well, where it came from, right? Like, you can understand a monkey, how it behaves in the jungle and all that, and it eats bananas and then it mates with his mates, whatever. But then, because you study life, does that mean that you know how life, was created, right? How was the first life created? Oh yeah, well there were some subatomic particles that became germs and whatever and viruses. How do you know that? Right? We just know so little about the mind and how it works, and what is lacking, I feel, in sort of this medical industry, and that is holistic thinking. And it's like my doctor doesn't see how the words that she's telling me and the pressure that she's telling me, how this is affecting my mental health, which therefore affects how fast I recover from burnout, which therefore affects how I will go back to work. And she can't sort of see these correlations. All she sees is, she reads the book, it says to do that, she does it. And she spent 9 years studying the book, so she, of course, if I tell her, hey, the 9 years of studying you did are bullshit, and which probably what I said in my why school sucks video that I did 4 years ago. If I tell her that, she'd be like, yo, fuck you, man, I spent my whole life studying this book, now you can tell me that this book is wrong, right? which could be, you don't know. Um, and I feel any sort of recovery or any sort of regiment you want to go on or whatever to get better, you need holistic thinking. You need to look at, okay, I'm trying to recover from burnout here. What is causing that burnout? Oh, it's a mixture of sort of my negative expectations and wrong expectations towards my business and my job, but also, thinking holistically, that can also be connected with, my poor sleep. If I sleep poorly, then I'm gonna have more negative thinking. I'm maybe gonna get insomnia, sleep poorly. So see how all of it is related, and then you can link that to diet. Oh, well, if I don't have proper protein and vegetable and fat intake, then my neurotransmitters are not gonna fire properly. My brain is not gonna work. Therefore, more negative thoughts. Therefore, more hopelessness. Therefore, I'm gonna feel like shit. Now, when was the last time you met a doctor that could think that holistically? I don't think I've ever met a doctor that could think, that could link all that to maybe even your philosophy of life, how you see life, your worldview, and sort of your mental baggage, how that relates directly to your physical health, or maybe the environment you grow up in, right? When was the last time your doctor asked you, oh, what kind of neighborhood you live in? Like has that affected, your mental health, or has that affected your physical health? Or I don't know, like what kind of books have you been reading lately? Right? When was the last time a doctor asked you these questions? Because all of these things lead to recovery and just feeling better. And damn, man, I really wish, my hope is that someday when we'll be more evolved, that people, doctors, professionals will think in a more holistic level where they can see how everything relates to everything else, and hopefully have some ego-conscious, ego-aware doctors, some spiritually enlightened doctors, some doctors who, they have more empathy. They are, they're not all stuck in the materialistic paradigm, but can evolve past the sort of rational enterprise and look at spirituality, look at the mind, the body, philosophy, how that all relates to your health. Because of course, if you're a nihilist, if you're a sort of a pessimistic, nihilistic person who believes that there's no meaning to life and all that, and if you take it in the negative direction, right, that can definitely affect you. But there are positive ways of seeing nihilism, but that's for a different topic. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. I know went on a super long tangent about the mental health and sort of medical industry and all that, but I feel like it's something important to touch on for anyone trying to recover from any mental illness, depression, burnout, whatever. And that's pretty much how I'm feeling as of today. How I'm doing in my recovery right now is I feel better. I'd say I feel better. I've been reading this books on depression, so by David Burns, very good book. Feeling Good, Feeling Great. Those are two great books. Pretty much, I just read them. I just read Feeling Good, the first book, and I felt incredibly better just by reading the book and doing some of the exercises right away. It completely changed my life. So I highly recommend these two books if you're going through any sort of burnout or depression. Very, very good. And my plan for the next few weeks is, the last few months I've sort of let go of my habits. I stopped doing meditation. I stopped exercising as much because I was too tired and all that. My goal for the following few weeks, because I probably will go back to my job at the bank and start back with my businesses. In the next few weeks, I'm gonna start over gradually. So I'm gonna make videos, not in a consistent fashion, but I'm gonna do videos every few weeks, or maybe once a month, something like that. And maybe videos like that, just sort of casual videos on my phone. Maybe I'll try to do a fancy thumbnail, I don't know. So do videos like that, and get back into exercising, get back into doing meditation slowly but surely, right? You, in your recovery, probably not a good idea to push yourself too hard. It's probably not a good idea. But you want to do just one action that will bring you closer to your goals. Just one action that will help you feel better. So let's say if you're depressed and you're like, oh, I'm too depressed to do anything, and I don't want to get out of bed, but you know that if you were to put on your shoes and just go for a walk in the park, that you feel tremendously better. But you're too tired to do it and all that. But just try to do it. Just try putting on your shoes and walk 1 block and come back. Doesn't matter. You don't have to go all the way to the park if it's too far. Just this little step. And try doing one thing a day that will make you feel better. If you really can't, then whatever. Just forget about it. And just call it days. Like, okay, I didn't succeed today, but that's okay. I'll try again tomorrow. And tomorrow, try to go on that walk. Try to do that thing that will help you. So do these things. And I promise you'll feel much better. So yeah, that's pretty much, just wanted to do a quick summary of what's going on, and let me know in the comments if you have any sort of questions about me, what's been going on, and don't worry about me. I'm doing much better, and I keep getting better every week or so. So I should be hopefully back in full force in the next few weeks. I plan on I'll make another video about the direction of my channel, sort of like, the new direction I'm gonna take it, sort of the advanced content I want to make, and my new approach on self-help and development. It's gonna be quite different. Still the same old good Nameless that you like, but with different content. So you'll see that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and stay tuned. I'll probably make another video in a few weeks, or maybe next week, about how I'm feeling and what my integration back into the workplace is, because I'm gonna go back and work at my job probably in the next few weeks. So I'll tell you about my integration, what it's like, and hopefully, if that helps anyone, that will, at least serve as documentation for my recovery. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next few weeks probably. See ya.